seekers of the truth than some others. We do it because we pay more respect to the scientific method, not because our minds work differently.
I couldn't say it better. I absolutely agree with you. And I think that that is the exact mechanism by which we protect ourselves from these biases, is being more aware of when we are susceptible to them. And even myself, I know that I'm susceptible to them every single moment of every day. I mean, the brain works much like a kaleidoscope. It's never the same in any 1 second ever. You are constantly taking in information visually, auditorily, through smell and touch. And that information is all coming in at the same time, plus you are having thoughts and feelings, and you're moving around doing things, and these other cues in your environment are influencing what you think outside of your conscious awareness. So for example, because of the way the brain develops and the neural connections develops, that cues in the environment that you are not aware of can bring up memories and emotions from things that have nothing to do with the subject that you're talking about. So for example, we're standing here talking about 9/11, and somebody wearing a blue shirt or somebody with a certain perfume that reminds you of your mother will bring up a memory or an emotion that will then influence what you are thinking about on the topic, 9/11, that has nothing to do with 9/11 whatsoever. And then how do you know if that emotion you're having is about the subject, or perhaps is coming from somewhere else that you're not aware of? And the way to do that is just to constantly ask yourself, is there another reason for me having this opinion? Is there any other reason? And this is so crucial why we wanted to have a panel. It's because we didn't want to just have people come up here and report what they believe, even though they have used the scientific method and critical, rational, evidence-based analysis to come to conclusions. We wanted those conclusions to be challenged. We wanted the people presenting the evidence to challenge themselves ahead of time to produce the best report they could, and then we wanted you to challenge them too. And you did. You hit the nail on the head with the questions that you have been asking throughout these 4 days.
I thought at one time in your talk, when you were referring to deference to authority and the way we evaluate the substance of a message distorted by our deference to authority, was something that did apply more to those who accept the official story than to those who would tend to reject. And here, I guess I beg to differ, because I think we are all subject to deference to authority, but we pick our authorities differently. But within this group, we defer to authority, and we have to, because cognitive economy requires it. We just can't get through this blooming, buzzing world of information without making some prior judgments about to whom we are going to listen carefully. And I think we all do that. In fact, I'm sure you know, as we all do, that we spend a lot of time rehearsing the credentials of experts. And we do it because we think it'll get us a little deference to authority in some form. I don't think we do it to decorticate people, but we say, you ought to pay attention, this person has something important to say. And so we, like everybody else, defer to authority, but our authorities are different, and maybe I hope that the kind of authorities we defer to are more authentic, have more reason to be deferred to than the kinds of authorities that many people who oppose our views are likely to defer to.
Thank you, Professor Jenkins. Professor Lee.
I'd like to jump into this elevated, almost philosophical discussion by Demery. First of all, I acknowledge that what you've been referring to are psychological mechanisms that are universal but affect us all. But I'd like to remind us that what varies in this is the degree of malevolence of which the dominant power possesses, and the degree to which the dominant power's agenda departs from general human welfare and the common good. So let me enlarge on that. So we all bring our critical faculties to bear on the world. We can be fooled. We can be fooled once, twice, 3 times. But what is unprecedented, I think, is the degree of malevolence of the forces that are arrayed against common sense and the common good in today's world. And so that's what I'd like to focus on. I was thinking about my childhood in Canada with Lester B. Pearson and even John Diefenbaker, and it was a much simpler time. There just wasn't the sheer degree of malevolence, evidence of which have been uncovered in our hearings, the sheer degree of malevolence that is being directed actively by a wide array of forces against people arriving at reasonable decisions. Isn't that what state crimes against democracy is all about? So I want to sort of relieve us from thinking, well, we're all this, we're all that. My second thought is you've very effectively gone over the literature, which is absolutely fascinating, about the study of situations where people can hold on to erroneous views with great conviction and use all kinds of adaptive devices, psychological mechanisms, defense mechanisms for denying, oh, I didn't say that, or even if what you say is true, I still believe my view. So all that can also be somewhat depressing if you sort of say, well, this is what we're up against. On the other hand, we know that throughout history there have been dramatic transformations of consciousness, much of which was achieved with difficulty, sometimes great difficulty, going from the Ptolemaic view of the position of the sun in the solar system to the Copernican and Galilean view, for example, the acceptance of biological evolution, for example. And so I'm wondering if we could make a project out of studying how these psychological transformations are accomplished, because it's a psychological transformation of that magnitude is the only way we're going to get this material into the public space that it needs to be in.
Can I just make a brief comment? I agree with you absolutely. And something that occurs to me often is Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments, wherein he was trying to do some experimental studies to help explain some of the behavior of the Nazis and how some people were thought to compartmentalize certain evil actions and then go home to a family and be a regular family person. I mean, you can't make those kinds of assertions from his experiment. They're not, really transferable. But so the one thing that I find so interesting about his experiments is that even though, say, like 75% of the people just easily deferred to authority, there was that one quarter that didn't. And that it's that 1/4, those type of people that we really need to study. We need to start studying the people who don't defer to authority, that are more easily to say, no, not just because you said so. Those are the people. And I just wanted to make just one more comment.